card debt has spiked as the coronavirus pandemic continues across the country. A new survey shows that half of American adults are now carrying debt. Today, I spoke with Kendrick, who is the founder of Credit U-Turn, about this and what you can do to fix the problem. Lee, thanks for joining us tonight. A new survey shows that 47% of adults now carry debt on their credit cards. That's about 120 million people, and that number is up from March. Why is that? Do you think that that is a direct result of the pandemic?
Yes, definitely. Most people are faced with the choice of having to get by any way that they can right now, and many of them are leaning on their credit cards, the ones that actually do have credit cards available to them.
Now, my parents always told me to pay off that credit card as soon as possible, but some people are finding that hard to do right now. What advice would you have for those people who just don't have money coming in right now and can't pay them off?
Well, if you don't have money in and you can't pay them off, don't look down on yourself if you do need to lean on your credit cards. However, try to use that as a last resort. And if you do have to use your credit cards, reach out to your credit card vendors. Have an active conversation with them. Don't procrastinate. Reach out to them and see what your options are. Maybe you're not having to lean on them to charge up more on your credit cards like other Americans are having to do right now. And if you have the ability to defer or go into some form of a forbearance with your credit card companies, by all means, explore all of your options. And whenever you do have a conversation with them, be sure to ask them whether this is the best option. And just make sure that you just fight for your rights and stick up for yourself. You might have to spend a little bit of time on the phone with each of those vendors, but by all means, take advantage of those opportunities right now while they exist.
Yeah. Well, what are some ways that people can plan ahead to avoid credit problems?
Planning ahead to avoid credit problems is a multi-pronged approach. You definitely just want to take a look at how much you are utilizing credit. Are you underutilizing or overutilizing? There are a lot of people that subscribe to some theories that we're just going to operate on cash only, but then in a moment of an emergency that's existing right now in the current pandemic, and if you've been operating on cash and you don't have a lot of cash reserves, or you're depleting those very quickly, or the stock market's crashed, and your investments have lost a lot of value, you should have already been proactive on developing credit and continuing to operate with some access to credit. You don't necessarily have to utilize credit in order to keep a good credit rating. A lot of people make the mistake of closing out those old accounts. If you have had past credit problems, you also have some rights by federal law through the Fair Credit Reporting Act as well as the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act to be proactive and to dispute errors and inaccuracies and incomplete items that are contained in your credit files.
Are you seeing that more people are using their credit cards right now for things like groceries and other things like that?
Definitely. Everybody right now is just digging deep any way they can in order to get by. Anybody that's out there that is using credit in order to get by, make sure that you are still in contact, not only with your credit card vendors, but also if you're utilizing a landlord or a mortgage company, your utility companies, and just know that whatever you do right now, that it is going to come to pass at some point in time where you are going to be obligated to repay those debts. And so you need to be very proactive in every area. And again, not just credit cards, but also with your rent and mortgage payments.